Good evening, everybody in India, and good morning, United States. Hello to all my viewers from across the world. Welcome to Storytellers Cafe. We have completed 3 months, and what a journey it's been. So, today we have something very interesting on the menu. Let's see what we are brewing on Storytellers Cafe. Come along with me as I take you to my menu for today. As you all know, Storytellers Cafe is a 30-minute segment on Bharat FM every Sunday, 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time and 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Today we have a wonderful guest all the way from the Southern Hemisphere. Yes, from Australia and from Melbourne, the beautiful coastal town in the state of Victoria. Now, let me not keep you guessing, my friends. Our guest for tonight is Durgah Devi Palanisamy, a wonderful storyteller who is presently settled in Melbourne. Let me give you a brief about Durgah. Durgah is passionate about storytelling and is fascinated by stories. Durgah is an avid advocate of the arts and enjoys drama, theatre, and storytelling. She has worked as a speech and drama educator for children in Singapore for more than a decade. After graduating with Masters in Education, specializing in drama from the famous Nanyang University, Dee, as she is fondly called, completed the graded speech and drama exams offered by Trinity College, London. Durgah is constantly striving to create spaces and programs that encourage discovery, education, and entertainment through storytelling. After migrating in 2016 to Australia, Melbourne, Durgah founded Deelightfultales, which is a storytelling company that aims to renew the oral traditions of the spoken word. Dee's repertoire includes folk tales from around the world, stories from India, and tales from the Mahabharata. She also facilitates targeted storytelling workshops for children and adults. Dee is also a storytelling and speaking coach and a certified Neurolinguistic Practitioner. Now, Durgah having been raised in Singapore, she is proficient both in English and Tamil. Now, Durgah has worked closely with the Storytelling Australia, Victoria, and runs storytelling workshops in schools. Durgah has participated in festivals in Singapore, India, the very famous Udaipur festival, and also festivals in Australia. So currently in COVID lockdown, Dee is enjoying connections virtually with storytellers from all around the world. Let me invite Durgah Devi Palanisamy to our studios. Welcome, Dee, to Storytellers Cafe.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Usha. Thank you for having me today, and I'm really excited to meet all of you.
Durgah, can you tell us a little more about the storytelling scene in Australia, in Melbourne? And
Right.
then you can go ahead with your story. Sorry for that.
No, it's all right. Thank you, Usha. Right. So right now, all of us are in lockdown in Melbourne, and we have been in a very strict lockdown. And we have been in a very strict lockdown with all the numbers that are happening here. So all the storytelling, the face-to-face storytellings have come to an halt. We still have a lot of the Zoom sessions available. And, I really enjoy going there. It's every Fridays, third Fridays of the month. It's available for everyone who wants to come and join in and listen to a story or share. The community keeps growing, and it really is what's been getting me through in these really unprecedented times of COVID and being away from Singapore and family and friends. So thank you for having me here, and I'm really excited to share some stories with you today. So, as Usha said before, I am Durgah Devi Palanisamy, you call me Dee, and I come from a little island called Singapore. How many of you have been to Singapore before? I'm sure lots of you have, and it's a wonderful place that you can shop and eat and have a wonderful time. But do you know how Singapore got its name? Now, that is a story I'm sure you would like to hear. Singapura, oh Singapura, sunny island set in the sea. Singapura, oh Singapura, pretty flowers bloom for you and me. Now, it is said a long time ago, a prince in Palembang called Sang Nila Utama was feeling really bored. So he decided to go hunting with his men. Now, in the woods, he saw a deer and he tried to shoot it, but the deer was moving so swiftly. The prince and his men followed it and tried to catch it, but the deer disappeared. And from the hill where he had led them, the prince had a good view of the surrounding islands. Looking out into the distance, Sang Nila Utama saw an island that he had never seen before. It had sands that shimmered white on the beach. "What is that island?" he asked his men. "Temasek," they replied. "Well, I would like to go there," said the prince. And so it was. They set sail towards Temasek. Now, while they were on this great voyage, suddenly a storm arose. The winds blew hard, and the waves rose higher and higher and higher. Now the boat was going up and down in the waves. Now, to lighten the load, the prince ordered everything to be thrown overboard. Throw it out, he cried. But still, the storm grew fiercer and fiercer and fiercer. They threw out everything that they could possibly manage without. But they knew they had to do something, because if not, they were all going to sink. Suddenly, one of his trusted advisors said, "Sang Nila Utama, throw your crown overboard. Throw your crown. It is the heaviest thing left on board." Perhaps the advisor had remembered an old story that Sang Nila Utama was one of the descendants of the Sea King himself. So Sang Nila Utama, the prince, listened to his advisor and picked up his crown and threw it into the sea. And just like that, the seas were calm once again, and they continued their journey. Now, Sang Nila Utama and his men landed on the beautiful shores of Temasek. He looked out. Wow! Suddenly, he saw an animal that he had never seen before. It was magnificent. It had big, wonderful, majestic features. He looked, and for a split second, the animal looked right at him, and then it disappeared. "What animal is that?" he asked. Well, nobody really knew. Then one of his ministers said, "Sang Nila Utama, that is a lion, and they call it the Singa." Sang Nila Utama liked what he saw, and And he looked around and he said, this is a wonderful place. And from now on, this is where I shall live. And we shall call this place the Lion City, Singapura. And that is how, my friends, Singapore got its name. Singapura, oh Singapura, sunny island set in the sea. Singapura, oh Singapura, pretty flowers bloom for you and me. Well, that is the story of how Singapore got its name. And right there, at the back of where I am, I found these lovely orchids, which Singapore's national flower. So that is something I hope that you would like. Now, as I said, I was born in Singapore, but I come from an Indian origin. My great-grandparents were from India. They were from a place called Vaduvur, and they moved to Singapore when there were people coming in to build a brand new future for themselves. And my parents spoke in Tamil. And actually, a little bite about Singapore, a lot of people in Singapore are bilingual. So our schools would have English as our main language. And then you can pick either Tamil, Malay, or Chinese to be your second language. So I grew up in school speaking Tamil. So I'm going to take you to a little journey with one of my favorite stories from India. Now, you might have heard this story before because it's a very famous folktale, but you would not have heard it the way I say it. So here it goes. This folktale is called A Story and a Song. Tannannadinam 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 tannane tannannadinam tannane tannannadinam 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 tannane tannannadinam tannane. Once upon a time, just once upon a time, not twice, not three times, just once upon a time, there was a little girl. And the little girl grew up listening to stories, and she grew up listening to songs. And she grew up vibrant and happy. Ore oru urile, ore oru raja, ore oru rajavukku ore oru rani, ore oru urile, ore oru raja. Now, the little girl was really, really happy. But then she started to get older. And the older she got more responsibilities. And sometimes she didn't have the time for stories, and she didn't make the time for her songs. And the little girl grew up and up and up and up. And soon it was time for her to get married. So அந்த பொண்ணுக்கு கல்யாண வயசு வந்தது. She was a lovely bride. And she got married. And she was in love with her beloved one. She loved everything about him. The way he looked, the way he walked, the way he would attend to her. And she was a very happy and blissful bride. Now, the first few months of her wedding, she would find the time to hum a tune while she would walk around the house while doing the housework. And then days became weeks, and weeks rolled into months. அதுக்கப்புறம் அந்த பொண்ணுக்கு பாடுறதுக்கே நேரம் இல்லை. காலையில எந்திரிச்சு பிரேக்ஃபாஸ்ட் சமைச்சு வீட்டுக்காரருக்கு கொடுத்து அவர் வேலை போற வரைக்கும் பார்த்துக்கிட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் வேலை எல்லாம் செஞ்சு முடிச்சு அவர் துணியை தோச்சி அயன் பண்ணி மத்தியான சாப்பாடு ரெடி பண்ணி அவர் வர வரைக்கும் அப்பப்பப்பப்பா போதும் போதும் ஆயிட்டு. And that was how it was almost every day. And soon it started becoming routine. And all she wanted to do was wait till the day ended. Now, as it were in stories, just like the one I'm telling you, there's a little bit of magic. And the magic of the story was that story and song were stuck. They were stuck inside of her, right inside her diaphragm, and they were bursting to be released and enter into this great big world. Sometimes they would hide and they would wait and wait for her. Won't she sing? Won't she say a story? But no, there they were stuck inside for a very long time. Now one day they had enough, they said. So while she was having a little nap in the afternoon, story and song got the perfect opportunity. They crept up, and they pushed themselves past all the way, and pop! In a breath, they entered the world. Now, story and song, they took on the form of a pair of shoes and a hat, and they sat themselves in front where the door was. The woman, she was in bliss. She didn't even know what was happening. And she woke up and she said, "Ayyo, maniyayittu. Avaru vara neram. Thayaravunume." And so she got ready and she waited patiently for her husband to return. Now that evening, he opened the door and he came in, and lo and behold, he looked down. Yaroda sappathu idu? Enna? Inga ஒரு தொப்பி இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கு. யாரு? என்னாச்சு? யாரோடது? Well, she didn't know. She really didn't know whose it was. She said, என்னங்க, எனக்கு என்ன தெரியாதுங்க. நான் இங்கதான் இருந்தேன். இங்க யாருமே வரல. But the husband was furious. He said, well, somebody must have been here. Who do these belong to? It doesn't belong to me. And then it happened. They started to fight. And they argued and they argued and they argued. And they were not listening to understand what the other person was saying, but they were merely there to reply. And as they got angrier and angrier and angrier, the man said, "Sari, என்ன பண்றது? நான் இங்க இனிமே இருக்க மாட்டேன். நான் கிளம்புறேன்னு சொல்லிட்டு he slammed the door and he left. She cried and she cried and she cried, but she had no answers for him. So the husband left and he walked and he walked and he walked. He walked to the monkey god's temple that was down the road. And when he got there, he rested his head on the cool black granite stone and he sighed. And then something strange caught his eye. Ennada adu? He rubbed it and he looked closer and he could not believe what he saw. Huh? Na paakradhu sariya? Huh? Ennadu? Adisiyama irukku. Well, all the little flames in everybody's houses were running and gathering. They were all sharing the stories of what happened in each household. The flames were flickering. Some were flickering bright and some were flickering dim. And they were all sparkling with stories to share with each other. A while later, a tiny little flame came puffing and puffing. And he said, எங்க வீட்டு கதை கேட்டியா? எங்க வீட்டுல இருக்கா அங்க பாரு, அவங்களுக்கும் அவங்க வீட்டுக்காரருக்கும் பெரிய சண்டையா, என்னாச்சுன்னு தெரியுமா? And the little flame proceeded to tell the story of what happened. And the man sat down and listened to it in absolute disbelief. But he knew what had happened. So he took a breath in, He sighed and he said, well, stories come to me in the strangest, most magical ways. But if you're willing to listen to it, it will always come to you. And so he walked back home. He went to his wife and he said, well, I think I might have heard that you know a story and a song. And she thought hard and she said, yeah, but I don't really remember it anymore. And so he said, well, if you don't tell your stories and you don't sing your songs, sometimes they'll be stuck, but sometimes they might be gone forever. So heed this warning, my friends. If you have a story and you have a song that is buried inside, I urge you, sing it, tell it. For when it's out in the world, it goes on and will be shared. Tannanadinam 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 tannane tannanadinam tannane tannanadinam 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 tannane tannanadinam tannane. So I hope you really enjoyed that story. In 2004, I got married and then proceeded to have 3 lovely children. And in 2016, my husband and I decided that we were going to move to Melbourne. It was one of the most difficult decisions that I had to face in my life, leaving Singapore, my family, my friends. But this is home now. And I always give thanks to the fact that I am here, and this land that I am in right now comes with stories. It has stories everywhere. And I also always take this opportunity to give thanks to the stories that were here before, the stories that are here now, and the stories that will continue to be here long after I'm gone. And it's always wonderful to acknowledge the fact that Australia is an amazing and beautiful country with stories that fill my heart and my soul and keep me warm in cold winter nights. The story I have for you today is a tiny little story. Have you heard of a koala? Right? Koala, kangaroos, platypus, wombats. Now these animals are native to Australia. And you've seen a koala before? He's very furry. He loves sitting on the tree and he's quite slow. And he likes munching on his eucalyptus leaves. Munch, 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 munch. Now, it never used to be like that before. So the story I have for you today is about why koala has a stumpy little tail. And this is how it goes. Once upon a time, just once upon a time, not twice, not 3 times, just once upon a time, koala and tree kangaroo were good friends. Now, back then, koala had a long, furry tail, and his tail would go swish, swash, swish, swash, swish, swash, swish, swash, swish. Once upon a time, in this part of the story, all year long, there was no rain. All the streams were dried up and water could not be found anywhere. Even the trees are dying, koala said to tree kangaroo. Well, we'll be in trouble if it doesn't rain soon. I have an idea, said tree kangaroo. Well, when I was little, it was a very, very dry season. And to find water, my mom dug a big hole in a dry stream bed. She dug and she dug and she dug for hours. But at last, water began to fill the bottom of this hole. And there was a lot of water. And it was enough for her and me to have a good drink. Oh, then we should try that, said Koala. I can't wait to taste some cool water on my dry lips. So Koala and Tree Kangaroo went to a stream bed. Now, it was really, really dry, and Koala started to whine. Oh, I'm tired and I'm thirsty. Why don't you start digging first? So Tree Kangaroo, he began to dig. It was really hard work, but the thought of the cool water just kept him going. And he would dig, 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 dig. Dig, 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 dig. And he dug and he dug and he dug. Oh, now, when Tree Kangaroo thought that Koala woke up, he would be able to take turns. But Koala was sound asleep. When Koala woke up, and Tree Kangaroo said, well, look, I've done lots of digging. Now it's your turn. Koala began to climb down from the tree. Ouch! Ouch! There's a thorn in my foot. I can't dig anymore, Tree Kangaroo. You need to continue while I rest. So Tree Kangaroo took a deep breath in. He thought, okay, I'll have to go on because I would like this cool, clean water. And that's what he did. He went dig, 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 dig. Dig, 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 dig. And he went deeper and deeper and deeper. Koala! Yelled out the Tree Kangaroo. I'm so tired. I need a break. So Koala began to climb down. Well, Tree Kangaroo, I'm feeling so dizzy. I can't. I need to rest a little longer. By this time, Tree Kangaroo was getting really, really annoyed. And he said, come on, you need to help. It will be so much better if the both of us did it. But Koala just wouldn't budge. Now, not too long after, he continued digging and digging and digging and Koala, look, it worked. Water was slowly starting to fill up the hole. Soon there'd be enough for the both of us. Now, when Koala heard this, he was so excited. He jumped down from the tree and rushed to the hole. He pushed Tree Kangaroo out of the way and started drinking the water. Stop! Stop right there! Tree Kangaroo was furious. But Koala would not budge. And you know what happened? Tree Kangaroo grabbed Koala's tail and his long, swishy, furry tail, and he started pulling and pulling and pulling and yanked and yanked and yanked and pop! Whoop! Koala's tail broke off. And to this day, Koala's tail is short and stumpy because he did not help his friend, but then he also lost a really good friend. So now you would see koalas and tree kangaroos, but they would never be in the same place ever. So I really hope that you enjoyed this little folktale from Australia. And I've shared a story from Singapore, one from India, and one from Australia. And it also maps my journey as a storyteller. So thank you for having me, and I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week ahead.
Thank you, Dee. That was indeed amazing to listen to all the three stories. You covered India, Singapore, and Australia. Truly, and what a wonderful storyteller you are. I love your singing, your dramatization, as I'm sure our listeners and viewers have loved it. This is what Storytellers Cafe continues to do, to bring storytellers from around India across the globe to present them to the global Indian diaspora. Hope you enjoyed listening to the stories as much as I did. Thank you, Dee. Wonderful to have you. Thank you so much, and wishing you a wonderful time during these difficult times. And for all you out there, stay safe. Listen to Storytellers Cafe. Tune in every Sunday and listen to some amazing storytellers weave a wonderful story. Thank you.